Let's be real. Have you opened a news app today and just instantly been bombarded with terms like inflation, exchange rates, or supply chains? I mean, whether we're scrolling through social media or reading a traditional paper, these everyday economic buzzwords are constantly staring right back at us. But here's the thing. They aren't just random, complicated words thrown around by financial experts to sound smart. Not at all.
Think about headlines like price of bread to rise, the oil supply crisis, or, UK pound exchange rate at all-time low. These real-world headlines actually represent a hidden, honestly fascinating matrix. What we're really seeing here is human behavior in action. And to make sense of it all, economists use highly specific methodology to decode exactly why we make the choices we do. It's almost like having a secret decoder ring for the modern world.
So, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to build your very own personal economist's mental toolkit. We'll be diving deep into economic methodology so that you can look right past all that intimidating jargon and actually understand the massive global decisions that are shaping our daily lives. All right, here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll kick things off with what economics actually is. Then we'll explore the social science toolkit, how to separate facts from opinions, tools for simplifying a complex world, the crucial role of time, and finally, we'll ask a pretty controversial question: what happens when these economic models flat out fail?
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1. What is economics? The study of scarcity.
At its absolute core, economics is really just about how we allocate incredibly scarce resources to meet our fundamentally unlimited wants and needs. There's only so much land, labor, and capital to go around, right? But our desires, those are pretty much endless. To understand how this works, the entire field is essentially split into two distinct lenses. On one side, we've got microeconomics. This is the zoomed-in view. It looks at individual markets, zooming in on the behavior of everyday households, consumers, and single firms. Like, why do you choose to buy one specific good over another? That's micro. On the flip side is macroeconomics. This is the zoomed-out, big-picture view, looking at the whole economy, government policies, and national growth. Why does one country's economy grow way faster than its neighbors? That's macro. And what's super cool is how these two supposedly separate lenses actually blend together perfectly. Think about an electric car. If there's a sudden increase in consumer demand for electric vehicles, which, by the way, is a classic microeconomic issue about personal choice, well, that shift can dramatically affect an entire nation's macroeconomic export and import trade. Basically, your small individual choice ripples outward to impact the whole global economy. Moving on to Section 2, the social science toolkit, studying human behavior. You see, economics isn't just philosophy, it's a legitimate social science that applies highly rigorous methodology to something entirely unpredictable: human behavior. Just like traditional scientists working away in a chemistry lab, economists use 4 exact steps to build what they call models. First, define the problem. Second, put forward a theory. Third, investigate it with data. And fourth, accept or reject that theory. These models are basically just simplified, mathematical, or diagram-based versions of really messy, real-life situations. They give economists a way to test ideas over and over again across a bunch of different scenarios. Let's hit Section 3, facts versus opinions, positive and normative statements. So an absolutely crucial point when analyzing these economic models is learning how to separate hard data from personal judgments. And this brings us to positive versus normative statements. Imagine you're a consumer reading the morning news. You might see a claim like, when the supply of petrol falls, its price increases. Well, that is a positive statement. It's based on cold, hard facts. It's testable, and it can be proven true or false based on historical data. But what if the headline says, the price of petrol should go up when supply falls? That one little word, should, makes it a normative statement. It's based on opinions or value judgments. It literally cannot be proven with data. Knowing the difference between the two instantly makes you a way smarter consumer of information. All right, Section 4, simplifying the complex, ceteris paribus, and the margin. To actually test those real-world facts, economists run into a massive problem. Reality is incredibly complex, with millions of variables changing every single second. To deal with this chaos, they rely on tools like ceteris paribus. It's a Latin phrase that translates to other things remain equal, or everything else stays the same. It essentially allows economists to isolate cause and effect. If you want to know exactly how a change in price affects consumer demand, you literally have to pretend that every single other factor, like income, trends, or even the weather, is held entirely constant. The literal translation of this phrase is a great reminder that to truly understand one specific change in an economic model, we have to imagine the rest of the world has just momentarily frozen in place. It's a mental shortcut, really, but it makes complex analysis possible. The second crucial tool for simplification is the margin. In microeconomics, almost all decisions are made at the margin. This means thinking about the impact of doing just a little more or a little less of something. Think like a business owner for a second. You're only going to keep producing more units of a product up to the exact point where the extra revenue from selling one more unit perfectly matches the extra cost to make it. You aren't looking at the whole business all at once. You're just looking at the very next step. Which brings us to Section 5, the role of time. Short, long, and very long run. As great as these simplifying tools are, there is one variable you can absolutely never freeze: time. Economists break time down into 3 distinct periods. In the short run, only some inputs can change. For example, if demand suddenly spikes, a firm can really only hire more workers. They can't instantly build a brand new facility. But in the long run, all resources become variable. That same firm now has the time to plan, adapt, and build entirely new, highly efficient factories. And in the very long run, absolutely everything changes, including core technology, government rules, and underlying societal issues. Okay, Section 6. Are economic models flawed? When reality breaks the rules. Let's put this entire toolkit we just built to the ultimate test by looking at a real-world scenario where the standard model seemingly fell apart. According to the widely accepted macroeconomic model, if an economy is struggling, a government should drop interest rates. The logic here is super simple. If rates are low, money becomes very cheap to borrow, and the return on your savings drops. Therefore, firms should instantly start borrowing to invest, and consumers should instantly start spending rather than saving. It's your standard monetary stimulus. But get a load of these shocking numbers following the fallout of the 2008 financial crisis. Between 2016 and 2018, the UK dropped their interest rates to a microscopic 0.25%. In Japan, they went even further, instituting actual negative interest rates at minus 0.1%. According to the model, this should have triggered a massive tidal wave of borrowing and spending. But it didn't. Imagine you're a government finance minister looking at this data. Despite money being essentially free to borrow, and in Japan's case, citizens actually being penalized for saving it, nervous consumers still held on to their cash, and cautious firms still refused to invest in new projects. The reality completely broke the economic rules. And that brings us to what I think is the most fascinating part of economic methodology. As you look at the complex world around you today, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. When the hard data contradicts the theory, are our economic models actually fundamentally flawed, or is the inherent chaos of human nature simply impossible to perfectly predict? Think about that the next time you read the morning headlines. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the framework around you.